Welcome to Inspired Living with Keri Murphy, the podcast, where as your host each and every week, I am going to inspire you and empower you to share your message and step into that big vision you see for yourself. I'll be bringing you celebrity interviews, influencer insights, and my personal tips from decades as an on-camera talent, TV host, media expert, and entrepreneur, so you can build a brilliant seven-figure brand. Because when you're inspired, you inspire others. So let's go. There are people that come into your life that you wonder, how did you ever live without them? And that is how I feel about my guest today, Miss Susie Carter. We met a few years back at a Lisa Nichols event and fell in girl love. I say she's my sister from another mister. She has been my friend. She has been my mentor. She is a genius when it comes to helping entrepreneurs build million-dollar brands. She has made a lot of money. She has lost a lot of money. And she has a strategy that creates millionaires. And right now, with everything that's happening in the world, we need to get over our fear of talking about money and get clear on how we're going to make it. I am excited about her new book, Power Your Profits. It's actually her 10th book, where she breaks down how to make money in a simplified way. She has helped over 100,000 entrepreneurs increase their revenues by more than 3,000% and has worked with top business moguls, including John Assaraf, Lisa Nichols, Steve Harvey, Doug Carter, and Paul Mitchell. If you want to make more money and you want to learn how to become more profitable in your business, you are going to love this interview with my good friend, Susie Carter. My sister from another mister, Susie Carter. So great to have you with me. I miss you so much. You know, there are people that you just miss their energy, and you are one of those people that every time I'm around you, I feel like I'm truly with a sister. And I'm so glad we get to have this time together because you're doing a lot right now.
We're doing a lot right now. We are full blown. And we're in several different launches. We're pivoting, we're reinventing on the fly, right? All of us, every business owner that is listening to this right now, I need you to know you are not alone. And because we're isolated, that like nobody gets me. Like I love that you and I can text and I'm like, help.
I know, right? Are you
and vice versa, right?
Are you getting this? Yes. And it is so crazy. And yet you are still inspiring. You're still doing big things. And I think that, Susie, is part of why I so badly wanted to have you on this podcast. One, because I'm so excited about your book, but also we go way back. I mean, I've met you years ago through another event, and I've seen who you are and how you show up to serve. And you live by the motto, wealth is your birthright. And people can look at you, Susie, and say, that's easy for you to say. You're a successful entrepreneur, but that's not where you started. Can you take us back to like Susie 1.0? Like where were you before you figured it out and became this incredible entrepreneur you are now?
Well, I was on this bus. Many people know the struggle bus.
I think we've all had a seat on that bus.
Had a seat. I get off that bus. I'm here to say, let's get off that bus.
Let's get off that bus. Yes.
A lot of people don't know. Well, some people know, but a lot of people don't know. My vocation is I was a hairdresser. And I was a hairdresser with 2 little kids. I was a single mom trying to raise these children by myself and no child support, no alimony, no family support, no hookup, because there's no hookup here.
Right.
And I had to figure out this business thing to provide for my children. My children were my why. And I know that sounds corny, but I really had to figure out, I didn't want my kids to have my same upbringing. I didn't want my kids to not have education. You know, I grew up with 9 brothers and sisters, and my dad's philosophy was, when you're 18, get married.
Wait. I just want to make sure everyone heard that. 9
brothers and sisters. Yes. Bobby, Ronnie, Stevie, Terry, Joni, Shelley, Susie, Kelly, Debbie. 9. And so my dad's philosophy was go get a job, go get married, and get out, right? So you're like, okay. You know, now understanding I have children of my own that went through that. It's like, yeah, get out.
Right. It is time to fly. Yes.
So I had to learn early on, like, how do you grow a business? How do you create sustainable income, you know, that you're not killing yourself over, right? Yes. As entrepreneurs, back in the day, there weren't podcasts. There weren't, like
videos. They weren't
videos. Yeah. YouTube and Brilliant events and, Power Your Profit events. So they weren't available. So we had to go to bookstores and read. And, books are a great introduction to coaching. And I just went to the bookstore, drug my kids, and okay, I need to learn how to market. Let me figure that out. Okay, I need to learn how to retail. Okay, I need to know how to referral market. Okay, I need to know how.
Isn't that just unbelievable that what we have access to and that there's just no barrier to entry? Anyone can create anything at any time. And yet, Susie, I think, I almost miss the days where you had to drive to a bookstore and plant yourself down and that someone had to be a true expert and had to be credible, like those days. Remember those days?
I love it. A true expert and credible. And when you write a book, it really means something.
Right. Yes. Those days.
Well, early on, as a hairdresser, did $250,000 a year. And then other hairdressers said, how do you do that? And I'm like, here, let me show you. And so I started my speaking career just supporting my community. It didn't start as a business, right? And then launched a training and development company because my client said, gosh, I love what you do. Do you have a book? I'm like, no, I don't have a book. I love what you do. Do you have an audio? No, I don't have an audio, right? Love what you do. Can I buy that? I'm like, you want to buy this? Like, it was such a mistake business. And now looking back, because now I get to sit with, 25 years of experience going, I want to create a roadmap of just do this, you get this, do this, you get this, right? Of all, my clients call me the millionaire maker. I love helping people.
That's a good title to have, Susie Carter. That's a good title.
I love it, right? Because I can see money everywhere. And it's fun to create when you understand the infrastructure and the system. Like you have a system for videos and how do you perform well and how do you capture people? Well, I have the same thing of how do you capture their money and how do you really find those clients that love and adore you and how do you monetize that business? And I take this complicated thing called business, make it fun because that's important.
Yes.
Right. Math is money and money is fun. We may not like math, but I love what money does for me.
But we like it. We like the money. Yep.
It's enabled me I have 7 businesses, right? 2 $10 million companies. Right, several multi-million-dollar companies. So it's predictable success.
Yeah.
And, success leaves clues. And that's what I did in my new book, Power Your Profit, is here's my clues, right? Here's what I did. Here's what I did with my clients. Here's how I help them. So we don't have to figure it out, bloody knees and bloody elbows.
Man. Yes, I remember that first business I owned too. And it really is business by accident. But you said something, Susie, that I think is important for someone to hear right now. And that is the first business was kind of an accidental business. People were asking you to help them. And I come from a family of hairdressers. So I know that doing $250,000 a year is not easy, especially back then when you were doing it. Right. So you obviously figured something out. And I think so many of us, when we're looking to grow our business, we throw what we think people want on the wall instead of just answering the question that they keep asking us. And you really built a huge company. You sold it. Right? You made a ton of money and then you lost a ton of money. And I think right now people need to hear that you lost money and you recreated it because that's success, Susie. When you can lose it all and then figure out because there are clues and you build quicker the second and third time, right? But let's go back to that time where you had sold this incredible training company and then you hit kind of rock bottom.
I didn't kind of hit rock bottom.
I was there.
I'm rock bottom. I can laugh now because there's enough distance. I just want to say
yes.
It was not funny in the time, right? It was 2007. We literally had just sold our company for millions. And then the market crashed and we were over leveraged, like success and failure leads clues. So we were over leveraged. We heavily invested in real estate. And, in 2007, the market crashed, real estate market crashed. My marriage of 17 years crashed. Right. So my dream home, we were upside down. We had to we short sell that home.
Yeah.
We had a building, we had a 20,000 square foot building that we couldn't sell. And we had all our assets in that building. So now that building that was worth that, 1.5 million was now worth 600,000 and that cash was in that building.
Yeah.
Right. So it was like,
that hurts.
It so hurts. It just hurt. Everywhere it hurt. Right. And I just remember that day of, just being like, oh my gosh, on the floor crying. Like, why? I'd been a good student, right?
I'm a good person. I
listened to the experts. I did all the things my coaches told me to do. But, nobody knew, what was happening in our economy. Because now, 10, 15 years later, you see the behind the scenes of what was happening.
Yes.
And even now in our economy, there's behind the scenes that we as lay people don't know.
Right.
And so there was so much going on. But in the moment, just like right now, we don't know.
Yes.
Right? We don't know why we're going through what we're going through. And it builds character, right? So on the floor bawling,
yeah,
right? And I was afraid, one, I was afraid to be judged, obviously. And two, I didn't want to tell anybody that I had this massive failure. And three, I was like, who's going to listen to me? Who's going to want to hear what I have to say?
Yeah.
And I heard a voice, I'll call it God, you call it whatever you want. And he said, get up. You know what you need to do. You know this. Do it. Rebuild it.
I think someone needs to hear that right now. They need to hear, get up. Like, you are not done. This is only the beginning of your greatness. And you know what? We have had a lot of opportunities to build character and
a lot
of opportunity. And yet when we look back, Susie, at those really challenging moments, those moments that brought us to our knees, we can rise now and say, oh, but that got me here, and I think a lot of people right now they're so uncertain. They're having to pivot their business. A lot of people are now forced to go online where before they knew they should. And now it's like, I don't have a should. Like, I have to be visible. Right. So I'm curious to know what you've done in your own business since the pandemic, because you and I, we both do a lot of live in-person events. We love that energy, been at each other's events, and we've really had to move it all online. Tell me what that's been like for you and what you've had to change.
Well, everything. Let's just be clear.
Yeah.
Listen, we're in the middle of this book launch and we had everything pretty and polished and, I'm talking thousands of dollars. And then the pandemic hit. And then all of a sudden what was relevant last week was not relevant this week. So we had to completely scrap every marketing campaign, every landing page, every email written, can you just hear cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching?
I can. I'm like, you should see me right now. Like, I'm just like,
I was crying. Like, I can't. It takes so much momentum. When you build something or you launch something, all the excitement and the momentum just wah.
And we're out.
We just had to recalibrate and shift all the language. And what I do know is I'm playing full out. Like, there was no way we were not going to make this happen, right? Between my team and myself, because I know that if I can get you information, I can change your life. If you're struggling with just understanding how to sell, go to chapter 6, skip everything else and go to chapter 6, right? And find the stair-step question.
I'm going right now. Chapter 6. Okay.
Find the stair-step questions. You do that one thing, like I will make you millions by following. I've been using that system for 25 years. Right. So we had to shift from live events to virtual events. And you and I both know, I didn't know if we would have the same conversions or if it could be as exciting. Come on, I'm teaching business strategy. How much more boring can you get? Right.
That is not boring, Susie Carter.
I think it's fun when I make it fun. Right. But a lot of people just get scared. So I got to kind of, finesse you. But
I know your events. They're nothing close to boring.
They're not boring at all, but that's live. Right.
Yeah,
so
sure.
We do this kind of event live. And so we had to take the whole thing online, create engagement, my whole house was my studio, right? I had this office, I had another office, I had an office in my kitchen, where all my team was here and we were making it happen, in our masks, then, sanitize. And we pivoted, we reinvented. We took what we do online, on live and put it online and prayed. I'm not going to lie, we prayed a lot. To go, can we do this shift? And strategy is everything. Mm-hmm. Strategy is that there's no sprinkle fairy dust, there's no unicorn, there's no rainbow, right? It's strategy.
Yeah.
And so we really put my head down. I'm not kidding. I went back to the book, back to the Bible. Look, I got my tabs in there like, we need to do this. Wait, what do we need to do? What do we need to do? When the pandemic hit, I went directly to my budget and I looked at all the events, which we have 32 live events scheduled, gone overnight.
What? Oh my goodness.
Gone, because everybody canceled their events.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm looking at my projections going, holy cow, what do I do? Yeah. So I removed all the live events. I had some virtual events, some podcasts, but those were more marketing
exposure.
Events. Yeah. Yes. So I'm like, okay, where are my personality videos? Okay, where am I?
Going back to It Factor training. Yes.
Going back to the foundation. And then I readjusted my budget. I readjusted my sales forecast. And then I went out to find where the events that were pivoting from live to virtual. And to go, okay, I've got to work on my conversion muscle. And just like you said, a lot of us, I hid in live events because live events, I knew my conversions. Online events, I didn't have the same conversion. So now I had to deep dive into how do I get people to take action? How do I get people to shift that? How do I get people to raise their hand? How do I get people? And I didn't get attached. I was committed. So I was committed.
Okay, I got to say that was so good. You were committed, not attached. I love that because I think so often we get so attached to an outcome, but we're not committed to serving or we're not committed to showing up, but we want the outcome and then we're disappointed. Yeah. So I love that. That's beautiful.
Well, we have to keep reinventing to go,
yes.
Oh, that didn't work. Let me do this. I'm watching them build a house next door. And for 4 days, they worked on the foundation. So they dug a hole, then they filled the hole, then they dug a hole and filled the hole, like the same hole. And I'm like, are they messing up? But they were just packing the foundation. And then they drew some stuff and now they're digging different holes. But it's still just the foundation, right? And that's business. So much of the work we need to do is foundational. What's the foundation I need to put in place from your ideal client and that ideal avatar, right? So looking at your marketing strategy, looking at, do I have a bunch of fans or do I have customers? Fans are not customers.
Right.
So if you need to understand the distinction, that's all in that marketing section, right? In chapter 4, fans versus customers. Because in my past, I had a lot of fans. Well, fans don't do anything but boost your ego.
Yeah. Fans don't make you money, right?
Yeah.
And that is, we talk so much about that false metric that we are attached to likes instead of attached to monetizing what we do and attracting the right people. I would say, stop trying to catch the ocean. Like, just go after and stop trying to be liked. So much of what we do in the video training. And Susie, what I love about our relationship is not only have we been friends for over 7 years or more, like you've taken my trainings, I've hired you as a coach. Like we really, truly believe in like surrounding ourselves with people who come to us with a different level of expertise. And as my profit coach, you really helped me get clear on my numbers and really looking at our budget and our pro forma and getting very clear with what it is that we wanted to create and how we were going to create it. And I think with most entrepreneurs, it's like, I just want to build the house because that's the fun part, right? I just want to build the house. And we forget about how important the foundation is.
Right. Or I just want the house done and pretty. There's a lot of ugly before you get to the pretty.
There's a lot of gray. There's a lot of gray and concrete.
I was just reading an article in Forbes magazine, 100,000 small businesses have closed since March.
Yep. I just saw that too.
100,000. So you don't want to be part of that 100,000. And this is the time to put 10 units of energy in to get 1 unit of result. But now, once you get the momentum going, you put 1 unit of energy in to get 10 units of result. Right? So it's shifting what you've been doing to just reinventing. So part of it, I do feel like this is a gift that's wrapped in sandpaper. Because look, we did our event and literally I was in the jacuzzi by 6 p.m. every night, which never happens.
Never.
Having a subletory snack.
Yes.
You know me a while.
I know your snacks. Mm-hmm.
A cocktail in the jacuzzi at 6 p.m. In the middle of a training. Day 1 in a training has never happened. I'm like, shut down the lights and go have, we had gourmet meals every night. I'm like, this is amazing instead of restaurant food. And I'm like, wow, how can I love this way. So,
and Susie, you actually had great results.
Yeah. Oh, we had amazing results. So we had an 80% conversion, 80% conversion, from our virtual event.
That's pretty unheard of. 80% conversion. We need to go get the book. All right. So let's pivot for a minute and let's talk about this book. Again, knowing you for many years, when it comes to money, you truly are a wizard. Like you're just amazing and you make it fun. But talk to me about Power Your Profits. Tell me about this baby. Tell me what we can expect. And Susie, I think people are listening right now going, okay, good for her. But how does this help me? Like, what am I going to learn? And I'm also curious, Susie, with that literally thousands of people that you've worked with, hundreds of thousands of people that you've touched, if not millions. What do you think it is that keeps us from building wealth? I mean, obviously it's mindset, but I'm so curious, your experience, what is it that keeps us from tapping into that potential?
Well, I think we get stuck in being a technician, right? Being whatever your vocation is, right? Back then, me as the hairdresser, me now as a speaker, author, coach, right? A business strategist, that's my vocation. Mm-hmm. So 15% of your financial success, Keri Murphy, is you being the host, you training people on video. That's only 15%. You have to be amazing at your 15%. I have to be an amazing business strategist. The other 85% is what we deal with in here.
Okay.
How are your profits? So the other 85% is the sales, the marketing, the operations, the finance. What I love about this book, and I don't know about you, but as a girl, as a young woman, I loved Cosmo.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And we just got in the top 20 reads in Cosmo this month, or the top 2020 must reads in Cosmo magazine. So I'm like, oh my God, that's a girl crush for me.
That's amazing. Full circle.
And on Amazon, we just hit #1 in new releases, which is very exciting. So
that's so great, Susie. Congratulations.
And so when I look at all the things we need to learn, this is truly a roadmap. So every section has an assessment. So you're assessing your business. I'm not telling you this way or no way, because we're doing a lot of right things. If you have some money, 88% of small businesses are at that $100,000 mark. Awesome. I'm proud of you. That's awesome. But let's get you to the $1 million mark. Only 1.7% of businesses hit the $1 million mark. That's my goal. I want you to be in the 1% club. And there's plenty of room here because most people aren't working on it.
And women, especially
women, right? So every chapter has an assessment. And then if you know that your mindset is holding you back, right? Start with chapter 1 and mastering your mindset. Your net worth will only go as high as your self-worth. Now, if you know you hate business finance, because that was me, the only reason I'm good at this is because I so sucked at it. When I was a young businesswoman, I could make money, but I was spending it faster than I was making.
Right. I remember those days.
So I'm like, let me simplify this because, I'm not an accountant. I'm not a CPA. I'm an entrepreneur just like you. And I had to figure it out myself. And so I would create these side spreadsheets. My account would give me their stuff and I didn't understand it. So I would sit with my partner like, how do we put this in entrepreneur language? Because this is so confusing.
Yeah.
And so I created these spreadsheets. And then I would be talking to you and you're like, I feel the same way. Can I have that spreadsheet? I'm like,
I know. Someone who loves spreadsheets. You kind of geek out on spreadsheets.
I do, because they gave me so much freedom.
Yeah.
I felt like it was the keys to my palace because I just didn't know.
Yes.
And it was way too complicated, or it was just way too much data that didn't make sense to me. It was like, thank you for sharing. What do I do with that?
Yeah.
Right. So
totally get it.
8 is all about math is money, money is fun. And then we give you all the spreadsheets, right? So you don't have to make up your spreadsheets. You don't go find a spreadsheet. No. Go to my website. If you bought the book, you get the spreadsheet. You get 6 of my spreadsheets.
That is amazing. And that's included in the book.
Yeah, they're included in the book. And as a bonus right now, when you buy the book, you get the digital spreadsheet, like the spreadsheet.
Like the thing. You get the real thing. You get to download the thing.
I don't just say, well, build the spreadsheet, because then you look at me like,
that will not happen.
Really?
No. Just give it to me, Susie. Stop holding back. Right. Which you never do, which I love about you. You're always like, yeah, here, have it, get this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, right?
Right. Just shortens your learning curve. To go, I'm a Xerox girl. Just give me the it, and I can go do it, right? And we all have our masters in different area, right? You're a master in video and hostessing and enrolling people and in engagement and, your kindness and love and really showing us how to do it as a system. Like you give strategy. It's not just show up on camera.
No.
Right. And so I'm doing the same thing. Let me just give you the strategy because it doesn't just happen. And then along the way, we have to continually just tweak the strategy. But if you don't know what to tweak, it's like, I don't know if you guys can I cannot do this. That Rubik's Cube, I can't.
I could never figure that sucker out. But there are people that do it so quickly. I'm like,
well, there's a video that shows you how to do it. Like do it in I'm like, you just keep going this way.
Of course, there's a video for everything, Susie Carter.
I know, but I'm saying there's a strategy. Like before you know the strategy, you're just frustrated and throwing that little Rubik's Cube. That's business. Business is that Rubik's Cube,
Oh, that is so true. And I want to go back to something that you said that I felt was really powerful, which is your net worth is only as equal or as strong as your self-worth. And I have to say, in getting ready for Brilliant and bringing these women together, an event you've been to many times, it still amazes me how even some of the most successful women do not want to talk about money.
Yes.
They don't want to talk about it. Like, they don't want to bring it up. And even if they have it, right? Either we're ashamed if we have it. Like, I remember watching or listening to an interview with Jamie Kern, who is a self-made billionaire who sold It Cosmetics to Revlon. And she didn't want Forbes. She didn't want anyone putting that out there because she was ashamed that she was a self-made billionaire. But then we have people that don't make any money that are ashamed to ask for help to learn how. It's this, I think money is a really interesting conversation, especially with women. And I want to go back to how important it is that if we're going to get in that 1% to 2%, that we have to be willing to talk about it and to ask for help about it. I mean, Susie, that's exactly why I hired you, because I know what I know and I know what I don't know.
Right.
And so your book answers a ton of those questions. And it's almost that safe place that you can go to ask about money without having to raise your hand. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, to get the practical steps, to get the roadmap, to get those spreadsheets and start working on it. Because I have to say that whether you have it or you don't, it seems to be the subject that no one wants to talk about.
Right. And money is a dignified conversation. We're all having the conversation either in your head, right? Your side conversation, but we all have to have it eventually. So I want it to be okay to say, I don't know. That's why I try to tell my stories of, I created this because I just felt stupid and I didn't want to feel disempowered around money. I didn't want to feel disempowered about growing my business. I didn't want to feel disempowered around pricing.
Yes.
90% of small businesses, 100% of the ones I coach, their pricing structure does not support profitability. So that means out of the 100% that it doesn't support profitability, inside that number, they're not even paying themselves a proper salary. That if I was to go work for a corporation, they would pay me this dollar amount.
Right.
And so there's a formula that says, well, here's all my expenses. Because we go, oh, what does Keri charge? What does Susie charge? What does Jill charge?
Right.
What does Melanie charge? Okay, I'm going to charge this. Okay, that's not a pricing strategy.
That makes no sense. Yes.
No sense. Right. Well, because we don't know if Keri's business is profitable. You know it is because I'm her profit coach. But we don't know if Jill's or Melanie, whoever those other people are, if their business is profitable. It's dysfunctional, and every business is dysfunctional. But what is your overhead? What's your financial goals? What's your wealth strategy?
Right.
That all has to be included. And then you realize if people don't want to pay that, that's okay. Let's go find another one. Let's go find someone that will. Because you can't afford. That's why you're like, why am I working this hard and I don't have anything?
Right.
Because you're not charging appropriately. You're not charging your worth. You're not charging your value. And a lot of times as entrepreneurs, I put my worth, I think, oh, well, Keri's not going to pay that, so I make it about me. Not about me. It's about the results that I help clients produce. 3,000%, 800%. I create millionaires, right, based on formulas. You're not paying for Susie. You're paying for the intellectual property that I've accumulated through my own wins and my own failures.
Yes.
Right. What I learned in 2007 from losing everything was the best lesson I could learn for my clients, the best lesson. Because if you rebuild it, right, it was my biggest victory and my biggest lesson to rebuild. And it didn't take me 20 years because that's why I was crying. I'm like, I don't have 20 years to rebuild this. Right.
Right.
Because it took me 20 years to accumulate that wealth. And then I realized, oh, well, I already know what to do. I don't have to go back to square one.
And do it again.
Right. I can start now at square 10 or whatever number that is and start building from there. So my accumulation factor, because I knew what to do now, I knew how to price, I knew how to build, I knew how to market, I knew how to sell, I knew how to create strategic partnerships. Right. Where in the beginning, when you're a young entrepreneur, you don't know any of that. You don't even know.
Idea.
You don't even know that you don't know. Right?
Absolutely. So
you're just running around with ignorance on fire, like, I want to do videos. I want to make people pretty. I want to,
Oh my gosh. It is building through throwing spaghetti everywhere. It's the pasta prayer, right? Like, please something happens. Okay. But now you really do help people with the strategy. I've worked with you for years. And even though, we're doing so well in our business, I still love the practicality, the foundation, starting my live events and being virtual again. I can't wait to go back through your book and really take out those juicy nuggets that you just can't get enough of. It's like reading or watching a movie that you love and going back and watching it again. You always get something out of it the second and third time you watch it. For those people right now, Susie, that maybe are in a place where they are, really struggling with their business and they don't want to give up on it, and they're just having a hard time really understanding maybe this new landscape or how to pivot, what advice would you give that person?
One, get really clear. I'm going to go back to pricing, right? Because it all goes back to, your ideal client, that avatar, making sure that your pricing is appropriate, right? And are you willing to risk it all to get it all? I knew when we had to pivot, like I could just go, okay, that's not going to work. And the reality was, no, I'm willing to risk it all. When I launched my first business, right, when I launched the consulting arm of that business, of the training and development company, right, I had to go into credit card debt. I'd never had credit card debt, right? I had to learn how to get investors to invest in my business, right? I had to learn how to be strategic, and that took hiring coaches. And so a coach is part of my life. And what I love about, working with people, Keri and I were having a conversation about her event, her language, because we work together, she's like, well, here's my must, here's my goal, here's this, here's that. Like just the language, it's transformed. It's not, you don't ever lose it. Like when you hire coaches that are result-based and transformation-based. And that's what I'm proud of is we don't, like my experience, I didn't have to start at square one. You're not starting at square one. So one, I want you to know that anything's possible. We do live in an amazing country, as dysfunctional as it is right now. People are hungry for transformation. They're hungry to get what you have. And let's help people make sure that whatever you're doing, it lights you up and lights somebody else up. And then let's really look at making sure it's profitable for you. Go through that exercise. Chapter 1 starts with just putting a business plan together. Because if you have the business plan and it's not profitable, you'll see that. And you might take a week of your time versus spending 10 years going, why do I feel like a duck in the water where my just little legs are going? Because you didn't put the plan together.
Right.
Like, when the pandemic hit, what's my plan, right? When we worked together, the first thing I asked Keri is, what's your plan? She's like, here's my plan. Here's what we're going to do. That's the foundation. So let's put a strong foundation in place so that you can see your future. You can see that vision. We can see if the money's there. And if the money's not there, then how do we make it there, right? How do we pivot a couple things? And then you're clear, like, oh, this is what I have to charge. And you don't have to give the hookup anymore because everybody wants the hookup. I'll give you the hookup. I'm going to give you some bonuses with this book. I'm going to give you some free trainings, but the hookup this is the price. That's what I have to charge, in order for the business model to work. Right. So there's freedom in knowing that. And there's freedom in your own self-worth in knowing that.
Such brilliant advice, Susie Carter. Thank you so much. How do people get their hands on Power Your Profits?
So you can go to any books retailer, Amazon, but you can go to poweryourprofitsbook.com. So Power Your Profits, plural, book.com. And that's where you'll go and you'll order the book. And then you're going to come back and put your receipt in there to get all the juicy bonuses.
All the goodies.
All the goodies. Then we have a companion course because here's what I learned. This is book number 10. Here's what I learned. Is people go, Susie, I love the book. Hate to read. Do you have an audio program? Do you have a video program? Okay. So I've made that ahead of time and said, yes. And now I'm going to walk you through the video program so that you can get the book. And then I walk you through it through the 9 modules, which is the 9 chapters of the book so that you implement it. It doesn't work unless you implement it.
Right. I love that. So there's a course that can go with the book that guides us along.
Only $497. We were launching that product at over $3,000. And when the pandemic hit, my team and I said, no, it has to be an easy yes, because we need to climb out of this hole together.
We do. We cannot afford to lose one more business. So my friends, please do yourself a huge favor and get my friend Susie Carter's book, Power Your Profits. We'll put the link in the show notes so you can go and grab it. Susie, anything else you want to add?
Yes. I want to say that Benjamin Franklin said, take the coins from your purse, invest them in your mind, and your mind will fill your purse overflowing. It doesn't magically happen. You got to start. You have to take action. You have to do something radical to get something radical. And this is a radical step. Be committed to do the work.
Be committed to do the work. People always want to know what's the secret to success. It is that. Be committed and do the work. But Susie, you make it easy for us because you give us the roadmap on how to do it. We don't have to figure it out on our own. We don't have to struggle. We don't have to hide in shame. We don't need to look at our bank account every day and make sure money's in there. Can you tell I've been there before? I've been there before.
We all have.
And that's why I was so excited to bring you on the show and to share this book with my community, because I know how much it will change their life. So thank you so much for being a dear friend, for being a mentor, for being someone that continues to inspire me on a regular basis. And I know that whenever I need help, you're right there. And I think that's something that people really need to know about you, Susie, is that you always go above and beyond to meet people where they're at and to help them. So go get the book, get the course, because I know the course is going to be the game changer, because it's one thing to read the book. It's another thing to implement what you learn in the book. And I will say, I paid Susie a heck of a lot more money than that to help me. So.
Yes, we did.
I'm just saying. Susie, we're going to end with, what does inspired living mean to you?
The company?
No, just the saying.
Because I'm going to say, first of all, I want to say the company itself, which is, Keri Murphy, represents to me a community of people that really care about their community and their tribe. And the speed of the leader, speed of the gang. And you continually, just as much as I poured into you, you've poured into me. But I see how you love your tribe and you love your community, right? Before we do any event, we're strategizing and looking at how can we serve every single customer. Keri literally goes through every person that comes to an event, every person that signs up for a program, and puts a strategy in place. You just don't see that. Mm-hmm. It's not just about money. It's about community and sisterhood and transformation, and more importantly, having a life that you love.
Yes.
And so inspired living is about, let's inspire each other, men and women, to have a life that's unrecognizable because of the community you hang out with. And this community right here, we got your back.
Yes, we do.
Oh, I got chills.
I did too, and a little tear. So thank you. I love you. Thank you for sharing with us. And again, go get this book. It will transform your life. And just don't forget right now that it is a season, whether it's a great season for you or it's a season of challenge, that it is truly preparing you for the next great thing in your life. So don't give up on that dream. Keep going after it. And read this
power
book.
your profits.
That is power your profits. Happy dance. All right, Susie, I love you.
I love you.
All right. Thank you so much.
You've just heard another uplifting episode of Inspired Living with Keri Murphy, the podcast. I hope you loved it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. And if you'd like to know more about Inspired Living or to get your hands on many of our awesome free resources, such as the Be Studio Ready Guide, simply visit us at inspiredliving.tv/podcast. Remember, your vision is your destiny, and we're here to help you bring it to life. Join me again next week for another extraordinary episode.